begins when I was 4. I grew up in a home with Christian parents and a sister who's also saved. One Friday night, I don't remember what had been said that night, but I just knew that I was a sinner and I was in need of God's grace. So when I was going to bed that night, I just prayed and asked that God would take my sin away and save me and make me one of his children. Even at 4, it amazed me that God and all of heaven would be so thrilled that I had come to know him, that somebody so seemingly small and insignificant in this kind of grand scheme of things was so loved and cared for. I've kind of grown up through the church and through the organisations within the church ever since. We were learning about how to live as a Christian, and I would say that across my time in secondary school and with going to Fusion in 2020 through church, that would have been the time where I would have seen my faith grow from that initial childlike faith, which is brilliant to have, but I suppose through my teenage years I would have seen a change where my faith became more my own. But when you went to university and you were very much in the minority, you had to make your stand and decide what you believed nearly before you went. And I guess university, while it brought its own challenges, changed a lot for me when I went into final year and my dad got sick. I was studying for my finals and Dad was in a hospice at this stage, and I got a case study for my final exam 2 days before the exam. I had been to a conference a few weeks before and I was the only student at the conference, and that was the topic that came up on my final exam. I had been really unsure as to whether or not I was even going to do the exam, and I think that spurred me on, that I had all this extra wealth of resources that I was able to use in an exam answer that none of the other students had, and it meant that I had that pre-preparation, which stood me in good stead, because the day I got my case study, 48 hours before my exam, my dad actually passed away. You know, I honestly don't know how I managed to complete that paper, only through God's grace. It was the least amount of work I'd ever done for an exam. It was just the most incredible time for us when we found out that I had passed my exams and that I had graduated. You know, it was heartbreaking that Dad wasn't able to be there to see that, but at the same time we knew that God was with us and that he hadn't let us go through any of it. And it was just, while it was and still is a struggle, it was just an incredible time that we were very aware of God's peace and God's presence. I'm now a qualified physiotherapist. I work full-time for the Belfast Trust, but on top of that I also work as the club physiotherapist for Banbridge Rugby Club. I am blessed with the opportunity of being around a squad that has only a couple of Christians within the squad. So while that brings its own set of challenges, it's also an amazing opportunity. They see the differences in my life compared to theirs in some ways, but it's not a threat to them. A lot of the time you can see actually it's genuine interest, that they're drawn by those differences, which is an encouragement to me, because my goal is that I'm able to share the love of Christ and the passion that I have for him through what I do day in, day out, that I'm able to live it as well as speak it. I've been a Christian now for about 20 years, and there have been challenges through that and amazing moments in the midst of those, but I would say that through it all it's been incredible to see God's hand at work in my life, and I'm positive I couldn't have got through the things that we've had to face as a family without him. We are so thankful for his love and his support and his grace that keeps us going every day.